Hello, I'm Cooper. The spring season of anime is over, and I wanted to talk about it. There were a lot of really cool, new, and returning seasons of anime, and rather than rambling incoherently to my friends, I thought it would be fun to try and put my thoughts out onto the internet so anybody can hear them. I'm only going over the things I've actually watched. If you wanted an opinion of the strongest job is apparently not a hero or a sage, but an appraiser, parentheses, professional, exclamation point, I am very sorry. I might touch on things that have interested me, but other than that, just the things I've actually watched. I will be deep diving into each season as well. Broad analysis, basic spoilers, things I liked, disliked, how enjoyable I found the season as a whole. They aren't in any particular order either. Also, I'm sorry if something has 4 seasons and I haven't been caught up. I'm not watching 50 plus episodes just to catch up to some of these. I want to watch them, I plan on doing so. I'm just saving these for later. Near the end, I'll also be going over the openings, as I like to consider myself a true connoisseur on the art of an opening. And finally, do a little award show, make my picks on what I thought were the highlights of the season. And now, without further ado, we can finally get into the different series, starting with. This is the best anime airing right now, and it isn't close. ReZero is always good. It has gone on a generational run with these past couple episodes alone. Unfortunately, to save time, I'm not going to explain all the details. ReZero deserves its own video. Season 4 is just the best that ReZero has to offer. If you're looking for something new to start watching, ReZero is definitely a strong contender and should be towards the top of your list. Witch Hat Atelier has blown me away as we follow a young girl named Coco as she ventures into the world of magic. There is a lot to love here, and I want to start with the characters. Everybody has something going for them and are well characterized. Coco is great as a lead. Her love and ignorance for magic affects everyone around her, and it's infectious. All the other girls each have their own underlying conflicts, but as their friendship with Coco and each other grows, their perception of magic and ideals change. Quifrey is an amazing mentor and guide for the girls, but then does things that are so out of character, but not in a bad way. He has these ulterior motives and does things that he truly believes and teaches are wrong, and yet he does them anyway. Same with the way he treats Coco. To Quifrey, Coco is a key for something he is after, and yet he truly cares for her, becoming a father figure to her and the rest of the girls. And this leads into the plot, which has so much mystery and suspense baked into it. There are so many motivations we simply do not know. Why do the Brimcaps want Coco? What does Quiffery want with the Brimcaps? What are the Knights Morales gonna do? How are Coco and the rest of the girls gonna get out of this? Everything is executed very well, making each episode exciting and fun to watch. The world building is done really well with an interesting and well defined magic system that leaves endless possibilities and sets the stage for the story. And on top of all that, the actual production of the anime and the music is top notch, animated beautifully, gorgeous music, high end voice acting. Bug Film really did a good job, and Witch Hat Atelier is definitely something that is worth watching. Alcoholic Yuri. Do I need to say more? Literally a match made in heaven. A romance slice of life. We follow a group of college girls living their lives as they grow closer together through their favorite hobby, drinking. All the different girls are fun and have their quirks with their own personalities. They also have their drunk sides that lead to some funny interactions. The relationships that are built between each respective pair is enjoyable to watch. Some get more love and attention throughout the show, with a focus on Botan and Ibuki being our leads. At the beginning, they just seem like drinking partners, but as the show continues, their love becomes much more deeper. The alcohol becomes somewhat of a contention in the relationship, and not in a way that they want to stop drinking, but becoming more than just drinking partners. One more thing, it's nice to see people and characters that aren't in high school. I don't mind if a show is set in high school with 16-year-olds, but it's nice to see adults and people my age in a show. It also makes it easier to watch, in my opinion. I don't have to worry about age or whether it's weird or not. Also, these girls' wardrobes, they got that shit on. So many different outfits. Slay queens. That's pretty much it. If you like romance, and specifically Yuri, which I do, then you'll probably enjoy this. And I want to touch on the animation real quick, as I thought it was a step above the norm. It's really enjoyable, with the characters themselves being really well drawn. It varies from episode to episode too, with different art styles and directions. I really enjoyed this anime. The Pon Seigoku is set in a postmodern Japan after a total collapse of society due to nuclear war, and although Japan hasn't been hit with any of these nukes, it has reverted to a warring states area with three nations vying for control over Japan and a young man named Aoteru Misumi wanting to unify the nation under one banner. This has been very interesting and unique. It's rare to see something like this and for it to do so well. It's told as if we're looking into the past, like reading a textbook, as Misumi eventually becomes a legend and genius strategist. The whole story is told in this way, and we get to see it through the point of view of many different characters. We get to see what each side thinks of each other, the rumors they spread, what they believe, their motivations. During some parts, it acts like a documentary, only to switch back to a character's perspective, like seeing a first hand account of an event. To me, it also feels similar to Game of Thrones in a way, where we have all these characters in different camps. As we jump between them all to get the full picture, people die unceremoniously and quickly, as they do in real life, often off screen, which can feel a little lame, but it lends itself to a retelling of history. Aoteru Misumi himself is an interesting lead character. His motivations are well established and defined. He actually feels smart and not just a plot device that knows all. He hedges his bets, trusting that his plan will work while preparing for the next. Lastly, is the art style and animation is jaw dropping. The expressions and the way they are physically drawn is very unique and striking. I'm a fan of it and its realistic stylization. You can tell who somebody is by the shape of their face rather than the color of their hair, which is always good. Worth watching. Shame it's only on Amazon Prime. For Akane Banashi going into this season, as I have read a good portion of the manga. The manga is well regarded and I really liked it, but it kind of flies under the radar for being serialized in Shonen Jump Weekly, which is the same magazine that published the big three, JJK and My Hero, and never got cut or dropped by Shonen Jump, and now has over 200 chapters. Before reading it, I had only ever heard good things from it, but never actually sat down and read it because it's not super popular, at least on the English side of manga and anime culture. And I have a feeling the anime is going to be pretty much the same, a cult classic that everyone who has watched it will swear by it. Before reading and watching Akane Banashi, I didn't know what Ragukoa was, but discovering it and coming to appreciate the art form through our main character, Akane, has been a treat. This is not a short story that takes place over a couple months either. It goes on for years as we really get to see her grow from being a middle schooler all the way into her adult years as she truly hones her craft. Akane as a character herself is a lot of fun to watch. She's funny and smart, holds grudges, and has a passion to be the best. It's funny to watch her interact with the rest of the cast as she learns how to become a better Raguko. I was worried that the performances themselves might fall flat if not done right and could turn people off to continue watching. They are very well done, and my suspicions were immediately thrown out after the first episode, though. It's good. You should be able to watch it if you enjoy the typical shonen formula, but instead of fighting, it's with acting and comedy. Go for It Nakamura Kun is a rom com yaoi that is really well done. My sense of humor is really bad, as I laugh at pretty much anything and everything, but Go For It Nakamura Kun is really funny, and the jokes are well written and actually have punchlines. It's witty, and the situations are funny. The lead, Nakamura, is also really well done. He perfectly captures the feeling of falling in love with somebody. Every emotional up and down that comes with liking somebody is captured and expressed through Nakamura. While Hirose is funny and a good character, Nakamura is the star of the show. Hirose is closer to an outlet for Nakamura to have these emotions for somebody, which isn't bad, it works well. I could also see how this would be really impactful for somebody who is also gay, although I'm personally not. Since it shows how it feels to fall in love with somebody so well, it's nice to see it portrayed for a gay couple, and that representation, in my opinion, is valuable. One, to help other people see what it's like for somebody of that orientation, and two, to validate the feelings of those who are also gay. While the plot is somewhat simple in nature, it does do everything it tries to do to the highest degree. The comedy props it up when the romance itself decides to take a back seat, and even when it's not in focus, the romance is still a driving component. But when it decides to start pulling on heartstrings, it does not hold back. The return of the 90s style of character design and animation was also pretty cool. From the author of Full Metal Alchemist comes Demons of the Shadow Realm. Let me get this out of the way. This is not Full Metal Alchemist. You can tell that it was written by the same person, but if you go into this expecting one of the best anime of all time, you're going to be very disappointed. Despite its similarities to Full Metal, it does have its own thing going on. The twins as main characters are entertaining. Asa and Yoru, guess what their names mean, are pretty cool. The side characters and plot have a lot of mystery behind all of it, each person in camp having their own motivations. The power system is pretty cool too, with demons always coming in a pair and being conscious beings. Left and right are also really cool. All I can say as of writing this and being about halfway through the season is that it has the potential to be really interesting. It just quite hasn't blown me away in anything particular quite yet. Just been above average the entire time. If you enjoy the shonen formula, then this has something to offer. I'm just waiting for it to pick up a little bit. Other than the obnoxiously long name that this has, I made friends with the second prettiest girl in my class, has a lot to offer. Umi and Maki make a pretty good lead couple, with the rest of the crew making good backup for the leads. The chemistry between Umi and Maki is really well done, and they are a pretty cute couple. The road to actually becoming a couple feels very natural too, starting off as friends but being a little flirty, giving hints to each other. There isn't a whole ton of whispering under their breath and misunderstandings. A better way to describe this show is that it's a rom com without as much of the tropey stuff baked into it. Towards the beginning, it looks like there might be a love triangle and all the other things, but it drops it all almost immediately. The confession happens on like episode 5, the thing that most anime build up to all season, done before the halfway point. A lot of anime tropes aren't bad, some are done amazingly well, but they are done so often and repeatedly that when something like this comes around where they decide to skip it all and focus on other stuff, it feels really good. With all the extra time they have too, they get to make the characters a lot more interesting. I'm gonna come out and say that I chose to watch this because I like the opening and I heard a couple good things about it, so I decided to try it. And overall, it's pretty good. While there are romantic interests, it doesn't focus on them, rather focusing on the friendship between the trio. Takuya, being our male lead, is a bit boring, but he has his moments. Our ladies, on the other hand, are much more interesting and well characterized. First, we have Kei, who also happens to be an otaku, and Ijichi, while not being an otaku, takes a genuine interest in the hobbies of her friends. Eventually, both the ladies fall for Takuya, and both of them know that the other likes him, but it isn't a competition. They understand that no matter what happens, they will all still be friends. That's all I really gotta say about this one. There isn't a ton to it. It can be funny. The friendship between the gang is fun to watch. Fresh off the heels of You and I Are Polar Opposites, The Ramparts of Ice, also done by Agasawa, carries the torch. While Polar Opposites leans a bit more into the bubbly, fluffy romance, Ramparts of Ice leans a little bit more in the opposite direction while still being a happy and entertaining story. We focus more on the emotions and inner conflicts of characters while going about it in a much slower pace. Koyuki, our lead heroine, has trouble dealing with people and has put up walls ready to go through high school as a loner. Although she eventually makes new friends and is faced with actually making connections with people. The core four we have and each respective couple in the group are done really well. They feel like real people with real connections and relationships with each other. The time the show puts into each character and their feelings and thought process make everyone and the relationships they build with each other much more meaningful. Koyuki slowly melting her figurative wall of ice as she makes friends and falls in love is just so satisfying and enjoyable to watch. And this isn't just Koyuki, all the main four are like this to some degree. The art style is nice and recognizable with good animation, and as a little bonus, you can see the polar opposite cast in the background occasionally. I really enjoyed this one, and it's definitely worth watching. It definitely stands shoulder to shoulder with polar opposites really well. I can't even start with this. Rent a Girlfriend had something in the earlier seasons. Yes, it was softcore porn occasionally, but there was something to it. Whatever it was is gone now. Marriage Toxin is a show that doesn't take itself too seriously, which I think works in its favor, with high quality fights and some pretty funny comedy with a driving force of romance. Geto is a master hitman that has zero people skills, and to save his sister from being forced to have kids to extend the family line, he vows to get married and be happy. May is a marriage swindler who uses their charisma and talking skill to scam people for money. These two have great chemistry and feel like real friends and make for a great duo as the leads. The side characters and love interests are also pretty decent, with my favorite being Kimmy. The only problem with them is that once their little mini arc ends, you don't see them again. The character progression, specifically Gero, is way better than I thought it would be. Gero at the beginning is a little cold and seems like he's lost in what he should be doing with his life. Once he meets May and begins looking for a bride, his attitude towards his work and other people changes as well. By the end, he's completely different, as his views of work are now centered around helping people and building friendships. May's arc isn't as obvious to make room for Ghetto, but there is something. They start as somebody who uses their skills to swindle people to actually being able to help people and garner real friendships with Ghetto and the others. The plot isn't super deep as it just sets up fights and introduces our leads to potential partners. The animation during the fights is really well done, making them fun to watch. This is a pretty fun watch. The only thing I want to talk about is how it's setting up for a second season, which has been confirmed. But don't go into this thinking that this is a one and done type thing. Agents of the Four Seasons is a compelling drama set in Japan where rather than the seasons coming naturally, they are brought upon by people chosen by the gods. Hinagiku is the agent for Spring, and Sakura her guard. After Hinagiku's 10-year-long disappearance, she is finally returned to manifest Spring. The thing that stood out to me the most was the intense psychological deep dives and depictions of self worth and trauma. Hinagiku and how she processes the trauma she has endured is really well crafted and written. This extends to the rest of the characters to some degree, with Hinagiku being the most in depth and interesting. Her desire to do the right thing while knowing that she'll never be the same is really well done. The other thing is the relationships, particularly between Sakura and Hinagiku. Just really well done. The way they lean on each other and always have each other's backs. It's the strongest relationship in this show, with them bonding and becoming best friends while they both had nothing. An observation log of my fiance, who calls herself a villainess, was better than I thought it was going to be. I chose to watch this one because I haven't gone very deep into the villainess genre, and this one seemed interesting enough. And while it wasn't mind blowing, it did keep me interested pretty much the entire time I was watching it. Our leads are Cecil, the Crown Prince, and Bertia, a young woman who has been isekai'd into the fantasy world. The world they inhabit was a video game in Bertia's past life that she had played before and she knows everything about. Cecil is extremely intelligent while being equally cold and uninterested in everything until he meets Bertia. Bertia poses Cecil with new challenges as she has knowledge of future events. What really surprised me was the depth that Cecil gets throughout the show. Towards the beginning, he feels like a carbon copy shoujo love interest, even being referred to as an android in the show. But as he gains more interest in Bertia, he struggles to understand his new emotions, and by the end of the season, he fully understands himself and his love for Bertia. Bertia is also a lot of fun to watch, as she wants what's best for the prince, but in the game scenario, the best ending depends on her becoming the villainess, and her attempts are thwarted by the prince, which only make him fall harder for her because she is not very good at being the villainess. Also, here's a tier list on everything so you know where I stand on everything I just talked about. And now, the openings. At the beginning of every season, me and a couple friends sit down and go through nearly all the openings and put them on a tier list. The criteria for a good opening is a lot more than is the music good? It's kind of like scouting the season to see what it has to offer. Good openings usually have good shows. It's like a preview or a trailer. The highlights this season are Hirane by Tatsuya Kitani for Nippon Sengoku and Kaze no Anthem by Eve and Suis for Witch Hat Atelier. These are what I'm looking for in an opening. The music is on point, animated beautifully, shots are interesting, and fit the show perfectly. Once you finish watching this video, you should really go watch these openings because they're really good. Nakamura, Botan, Akane, Otogal, ReZero, and Classroom of the Elite are good. Everything else is either fine or just a bit more traditional that it isn't worth bringing up. Now, for the best in each category for the season, we have Best Drama, Action, Romance, and Comedy for our genres, Best Returning and New Seasons, and Production. Then the Best of the Season, and then my personal pick. If anything wins Best Season, then it is unable to win the rest of the genre awards to let some of the other stuff get some recognition. My personal pick is not what is best, but what I personally enjoyed a lot. Then, best lead and secondary character, and cherry on top is the best opening. These are going to go pretty quick because I've already gone over anything and I don't want to just be repeating myself the entire time. For our best of the season, we have, of course, ReZero Season 4. I don't want to say it's not even close, but it isn't close, and it just speaks for itself. And best opening goes to Hirane by Tatsuya Kitani. Best drama goes to Nippon Sengoku as it skips a lot of the action. Best action and production goes to Witch Hat Atelier. Best romance is going to The Ramparts of Ice. Best comedy is going to Go For It Nakamura-kun. Best returning is ReZero, while best new is Witch Hat Atelier. Best leads go to Subaru and Amelia as a pair. Best secondary goes to Agot. And finally, my personal pick is Kamina Botan Fully Blossoms When Drunk. Well, this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and if you made it to the end, thank you. The spring season had a lot to offer, and if there was something that you want to talk about, please feel free to discuss in the comments things you disagree with or agree with. Things about the video itself, please let me know. And one more thing I wanted to talk about at the end is the channel itself and what I plan to do with this. I enjoy consuming and thinking about a lot of things, and it isn't exclusive to anime, video games, TV, hobbies I have. And this seemed like a good way to condense and express my opinion to those who are actually interested in it. This was a lot of fun to make, and I want to try and keep doing this. Any tips and suggestions are welcome, along with criticism. If people are going to launch it, I want to make it good. I have a lot of ideas on videos that sound fun to make. And one more time, really, thank you for watching this.